In this episode, we'll look at the root function of the GNC 300XL, which is where flight plans are created and modified. This is equivalent to the flight plan or FPL function found in most modern GPS designs. We'll look at several flight plans to help illustrate the various features. A couple of quick notes though before we start. First, if you're new to the 300XL and haven't viewed the previous videos in this series, you might find it helpful to do so. There we covered basic operation of the GPS and won't repeat that content here. Second, as with most avionics, there are usually multiple ways in which to accomplish the same task. The methods we present in this video are simply used for consistency. The GNC 300XL Pilot's Guide provides additional details and should serve as your primary reference for the operation of the equipment. Lastly, this episode covers general functionality. We will explore IFR terminal procedures in a separate presentation. Okay, let's get started. The route page consists of 5 pages. The main page is the active route page that shows the route you are currently navigating. The active route is always placed in route number 0, which we will cover later. The active route page is the page that I'm on most frequently when I'm flying, as it gives me real-time status of the flight and what is going to happen next in the sequence. This way I'm not surprised by the GPS. The next 3 pages shown in magenta here are reserved for selecting IFR terminal and approach procedures. These include instrument approach procedures, arrivals, and departure procedures, which we'll cover in a future episode. The last page shown in green is the route catalog page. This page allows you to store, activate, copy, delete, and edit up to 19 flight plans numbered 1 through 19 in the system. Each flight plan can hold up to 31 waypoints. In addition, there are a few specialty functions included as well as the utility for rain prediction. Let's take a closer look at the way the GNC 300XL manages routes. There are 2 types of routes in the 300XL. The active route, which is contained in route number 0, and the catalog routes, which are stored sequentially in route numbers 1 through 19. The active route is accessed on route page number 1, while the route catalog is available on route page number 5. The active route is always the route you are currently navigating. One very important distinction is that the active route resides in volatile memory, which means that it will be erased when the unit is powered off. It will also be deleted when the route is overwritten by activating another route or when the active route is canceled. Unlike the active route, the catalog routes are stored in permanent memory and will not be erased when the 300XL is powered off. You can create and edit a route in both the active or catalog pages, but the catalog page offers a great deal more route options, as we'll see shortly. Remember that when you create or edit a route in the active route page, that is route number 0, the changes will not be saved if the unit is powered off. To save the changes from route 0, you must copy the flight plan to an empty catalog route before turning the 300XL off. Any of the 19 catalog routes can be moved to the active route by activating the desired route from the catalog page, as we'll demonstrate in this video. Let's take a closer look at the active route page. The top line shows the active leg of the flight plan currently being flown. In the example shown, the active leg is from 28 Juliet Airport to the OCF VOR. Note that if you are navigating direct to a waypoint, the leg will read Go To, followed by the destination. Below the active leg will be a sequential list of waypoints that make up your route. The presence of a scroll arrow in the lower left indicates there are additional route waypoints. You can use a small inner knob to scroll up and down through the waypoints. However, if the cursor is active, you will need to use a large outer knob for waypoint scrolling instead. Next to each waypoint are 2 data fields that give you the information related to that leg. A leg is a line between a waypoint and the waypoint immediately preceding it. For instance, a leg beginning with OCF is the current leg being flown from 28 Juliet to OCF. The data fields show a leg distance of 40.49 nautical miles and a desired track of 231 degrees. Likewise, the data immediately adjacent to KCGC Airport represents a leg distance and track from OCF to KCGC. The data fields can be changed based on your personal preferences. Let's see how that's done. To change the leg data fields, press the cursor key twice. The cursor will land in the first waypoint field, which allows you to enter a route. Rotate the large knob counterclockwise so that the first field, leg in our case, is highlighted. Now you can use a small knob to select either leg distance or cumulative distance for the column. Rotate the large knob to the right to edit the right-hand column. Here you can select from either desired track, estimated time en route, or estimated time of arrival for each leg. When done, press the cursor key to save your changes. Now that you've seen the active route page, let's take a look at the route catalog page, which is the fifth and last page in the route page group. From the active route page, rotate the large outer knob clockwise until you arrive at the route catalog page shown here. One interesting scrolling feature to note on the route page group: when you scroll to the right past the last page in the group, the first page of the group will be displayed and you can loop continuously through pages. However, when you scroll to the left, you'll notice the system will stop at the active route page and not loop. This makes it quick and easy to get to the active page. Just turn the large outer knob counterclockwise continuously and you will soon land on the active route page. The upper left of the route catalog page shows the route number currently selected. You can scroll through the route catalog using the small inner knob. The adjacent field allows you to select a number of operations on the selected route. Route operations include editing waypoints included in the route, selecting an approach procedure, arrival procedure, or standard instrument departure procedure, deleting a route permanently, copying an existing route into a new route, computing the closest point of approach for a route to a specific waypoint, performing search and rescue ladder operations, evaluating RAIM availability, activating a route, and reversing the order of a route. The middle line shows the route's origin and destination identifiers together with the cumulative route distance. The last line of the page will allow you to specify a parallel offset from the route, as we'll discuss later. Any route comments added will also be shown here. Okay, let's go ahead and enter our first route. Our trip will be from the Palatka Municipal Airport, identifier 28 Juliet in the upper right, southwest to Crystal River in the lower left, identifier KCGC. The route will include the Ocala VOR shown here, identifier OCF. From the route catalog page with the cursor hidden, use the small knob to locate the first empty route. You'll notice that route 1 and 2 already contain previously stored routes, but route 3 is available to us. Press the cursor key twice to highlight the route action field. The edit function is used to both edit an existing route or create a new one. Press the enter key to begin creating the route. You'll notice a series of blank lines which will contain our waypoints. Up to 31 waypoints can be stored in each route. In the upper right is the route number we are currently working with, in this case, route number 3. Using the concentric knobs, we'll enter each of the 3 waypoints in order, beginning with our departure airport 28 Juliet. As you enter each waypoint, the route will build from left to right in the listing, moving to the next line as each row is filled. After you enter each waypoint, the confirmation page will appear asking you to verify the waypoint you selected. Press enter to accept, and the cursor will then move to the following field. When you have entered the route, press the cursor key once, and the route is automatically stored, in this case, in route number 3. To add a one-line comment to a stored route, select a desired route and press the cursor key twice. Use the large outer knob to highlight the comment line on the bottom of the screen. Then use the concentric knobs to enter the comment. When done, press the Enter key. To erase an existing comment, highlight the comment and simply press the Clear key followed by the Enter key. When entering GPS data, it might be necessary for you to pause so you can enter a new communication frequency. Whenever you are in a GPS field and press the cursor key to move to the COM frequency field, the GPS data field will be masked as shown here. To return to the GPS field and continue editing where you left off, simply press the cursor key one more time. Now that we have created a new route in the catalog, let's see how we activate it. Activating a stored route is simply the process of moving it to route number 0 so the GPS can begin navigating along it. To activate a stored route, move to the route catalog page and use a small inner knob to locate the desired route. With the desired route displayed, press the cursor key twice to highlight the Route Actions page. Then select Activate and press the Enter key. At this point, the stored route will be moved into route number 0. Any existing route in route number 0 will be overwritten. The GNC 300XL will then automatically move to the active route page, and we are ready to go. Returning back to the route catalog, you will see that route number 0 contains our new route. If we wanted to conduct a parallel track offset, we would do so here. Parallel tracks will be discussed later. If your aircraft is equipped with an external CDI and annunciator, the 300XL will issue a message reminding you to set the new course associated with the first leg of the flight plan. Just as we are to depart from 28 Juliet to KCGC, we are advised that the restricted area just southwest of Palaca is hot, as is the surrounding military operating area. At this point, we decide to revise our original route, which took us over the Ocala VOR identifier OCF. Instead, we will proceed to Juts intersection and then direct to Crystal River, KCGC. Let's look at how we add Juts and remove OCF in our flight plan. Adding and removing waypoints is something you should be comfortable with. We will do this directly in the active route page, but it is important to understand that any changes made on the active route page will be lost once the unit is powered down, unless we save the revised route back to the catalog. We'll go over how to do that after we make the revisions. As we scroll through the active route page, you'll see it contains our original route 28 Juliet, OCF VOR, and then KCGC Airport. To insert a waypoint with the cursor active, use the large outer knob to highlight the point in the route at which the new waypoint is to be added. As soon as you begin entering the new identifier, all existing waypoints from the highlighted position to the end of the route will shift down one place to allow the new waypoint to be entered. For our example, we will insert Juts intersection after 28 Juliet. Use the concentric knobs as usual to enter the new identifier. Press Enter again at the confirmation page to insert the waypoint into the active route. Our revised route will now read 28 Juliet, Juts intersection, OCF VOR, and KCGC. However, we want to remove OCF VOR from the route as previously discussed. To remove a waypoint from a route, simply highlight the waypoint to delete and press the Clear key followed by the Enter key. Once a waypoint is removed, all remaining waypoints in the route will shift up in the list. Now our revised route reads correctly: 28 Juliet, Juts, KCGC. Note that the methods we use in the active route page to add and delete waypoints can also be used in exactly the same way to modify any stored route in the catalog. Therefore, we won't repeat it again here. Whenever you create a route directly in the active route page, or modify an active route as we just did, the changes will be lost once the 300XL is powered off. If you do not wish to save the router changes for later use, then that's acceptable. However, in the event you do want to store the new active route to the catalog, then you must use the copy function prior to shutting down the 300XL. As you recall from earlier in this lesson, we originally stored the route 28 Juliet, OCFVOR, KCGC in route number 3 of the catalog. However, we just revised the route directly on the active route page to 28 Juliet, Juts intersection, KCGC. Let's suppose we wish to save the newly revised route into our catalog before shutting the 300XL down. To do so, use a large knob to move to the route catalog page and then locate a blank catalog route that you want to store the active route into. As we'll see in a second, the 300XL requires the catalog route to be empty when you attempt the copy operation. The original route was stored in route number 3, which is where we would like to store the revised route. So let's try storing the revised active route over top our old catalog route number 3 and see what happens. To initiate the copy command, select Copy from the Route Operations menu and then press the Enter key. When you attempt to copy a route into a catalog route that already contains a route, as we are trying to do here, then an error message will be triggered that will prevent you from overwriting the existing route. With the 300XL, the rule is you can only copy a route into an empty catalog route. So at this point, we have two options. Either we can move to an empty route within the catalog and retry the copy operation, or we can delete the old route number 3 in the catalog and then copy the active route into route number 3. Let's try the latter. To delete a route, simply select the Delete option from the route operations list, followed by the Enter key. Be careful though, as there is no warning, and once a route has been deleted from the catalog, it is erased permanently. With the route now empty, let's try again to copy the active route by reselecting the copy operation. Now we are given the copy options. Because we want to copy from active route 0 to catalog route 3, which is now empty, we can simply press Enter and the route will be copied and permanently saved in catalog route number 3. As we get ready to return home to 28 Juliet from KCGC, we can use the reverse route operation to activate our previously stored route, but in reverse order. To do so, move to the route catalog page and find the route you wish to reverse and activate. In this case, it is catalog route number 3 that stored our original outbound route, 28 Juliet, Juts, KCGC. To reverse the route, select Reverse from the route operations list and press the Enter key. The route will be inverted and then copied to the active route page, and the active route page displayed. Note that the original stored route will remain intact in its original location. You may notice that the active leg is Juts to 28 Juliet, when it should read KCGC to Juts if we were departing KCGC. The reason the last leg of the return flight is shown as active is because we are actually on the ground in 28 Juliet for this demonstration, and so the 300XL has activated the closest leg of the route. The closest point of approach, or CPA operation, is an interesting function that I do use occasionally when I fly. It calculates the closest distance a route will pass to an off-route reference waypoint, and then creates a new waypoint along the original route. It is handy when you have a long route segment that does not have any natural checkpoints and you want to add one easily to your route. The rules are simple. The CPA must reference a valid waypoint in the database, and the waypoint must fall between waypoints in your route. In the example shown, we want to find a CPA waypoint between KLIT and KDAL. Using the TXKVOR as a reference waypoint, the 300XL will automatically compute the CPA waypoint and add it to your route as shown. Let's see how the process works on the actual unit. To illustrate the CPA operation, we'll use a simple flight between Palatka Airport in the upper right, southwest to Ocala Airport in the lower left. Our reference waypoint will be the Gainesville Airport, KGNV, in the upper left. Keep in mind that you can perform a CPA function on either the active route or on any stored catalog route. It is done exactly the same way. In our example, we'll perform the operation on the active route. To begin the process, move to the route catalog page and display the route you wish to use. In our case, we'll use the active route 0, which already contains our flight plan from 28 Juliet to KOCF. Press the cursor key twice to highlight the route operations menu, and then use the small knob to select the CPA function followed by the enter key. A prompt will appear on the bottom of the screen asking you to enter the reference waypoint from which to compute the closest point of approach. We'll use the Gainesville Airport identifier KGNV. Remember, the reference waypoint must exist in the database. After you press enter, the bearing and distance of the CPA along the original route will be computed. In this case, the 140-degree bearing from KGNV at 23.2 nautical miles. Press enter to insert the CPA waypoint into the route at the OK prompt. Let's go back to the active route to see what happened. You'll notice that a new waypoint has been added labeled KGNV0 between our departure and destination airports. This is the CPA waypoint. One final note on the CPA operation. The CPA waypoint you create gets automatically added to the user waypoint library we discussed in a previous episode. The GNC 300XL has two different variations on Direct to navigation. The difference is subtle but very important to understanding the logic. Both are initiated by pressing the Direct to key on the lower key group. It's just a matter of when you do it. In a previous episode, we discussed the basic Direct to function shown on the right. When you press the Direct to key, you are prompted to enter a waypoint identifier from within the navigation database to proceed to. Once a valid identifier is specified, the 300XL will navigate direct from the aircraft's present position to the selected waypoint. Easy enough and something any new GPS user is comfortable with. In contrast, en route direct to navigation is a process of proceeding direct to a waypoint only within the active route waypoint list, not the entire database. It is used to skip ahead in the sequence of route waypoints and then resume the remainder of the route thereafter. As we'll see in a future episode, en route direct to is also used as a means to activate a procedure leg while being radar vectored for an approach. Let's take a closer look at how en route direct to works. For our en route direct to example, let's consider a flight from 28 Juliet southbound to Orlando Executive Airport, KORL. The route contains 5 intersections, namely Barbs, Guano, Worms, Kaiser, and Paola. The route has been entered and activated already. Soon after departure from 28 Juliet, ATC instruct us to proceed direct to Kaiser intersection. To initiate en route direct to Kaiser, press the cursor key twice from the active route page and scroll down to highlight Kaiser. Then press the direct to key. Press enter to confirm and the system will take you to the CDI page of the navigation page group. This will show you the new course and distance from the aircraft's current position direct to Kaiser intersection. If necessary, you will be reminded to set the external CDI to the new course. Returning to the active route page, you will see a couple of changes. Notice the active leg at the top now reads Go to Kaiser. Kaiser is now the active waypoint. Notice that the waypoints in the active route remain present and unchanged. The ones prior to Kaiser are available should you need to reactivate them, while the waypoints after Kaiser to the destination are intact. Normal active route waypoint sequencing will resume to the destination once the aircraft crosses Kaiser. This is en route direct-to navigation. As we just saw, en route direct-to navigation is initiated by highlighting a waypoint within the active route and then pressing direct to bypass all previous route waypoints. But what happens if the pilot tries to navigate direct to a waypoint not from the active route using the direct to function? What happens to the active route navigation? Let's take a look. Recall our previous flight from 28 Juliet to Crystal River Airport, identifier KCGC, via Just intersection, which we have loaded in our active route. The route is shown here on the map in green. Now let's suppose after takeoff a passenger receives a text message from a friend in Gainesville who would like to come along on the trip to Crystal River. In this case, the pilot needs to proceed direct to Gainesville Airport, KGNV, in the upper left. Note that Gainesville is not part of the original active route and therefore would not be an en route direct. Pressing the direct to key and entering KGNV from the main database will cause the GNC 300XL to navigate from the aircraft's present position direct to Gainesville Airport as shown here on the CDI page of the navigation group. So what happened to our active route from 28 Juliet to Crystal River? The answer is nothing. It is still there, unchanged in the active route 0 page, but has simply been suspended. Let's suppose shortly after the first text message, the friend sends a second text message apologizing, but he won't be able to make it to the airport as his car battery is dead, and therefore to go on without him. To reactivate the suspended active route, you just need to cancel the direct-to navigation to Gainesville. To do so, move to the CDI page in the navigation group and press the cursor key twice to highlight the direct-to waypoint. Then press the clear key followed by Enter. The 300XL will then resume the active flight plan route as if nothing had happened. Deleting a route in the 300XL, including the active route, is performed on the route catalog page. Let's demonstrate how to remove our current active route. On the route catalog page, use a small knob to locate the route you wish to delete. Recall that route 0 is the active route, which is the one we want to remove. With route 0 displayed, press the cursor key twice to highlight the route operations field and select Delete. Press Enter and the route will be erased. Again, there is no warning prior to the deletion, so ensure you have the correct route before executing the delete function. The 300XL route RAIM prediction function evaluates en route RAIM availability over an entire route. To use the RAIM prediction, move to the route catalog page and locate the route you wish to evaluate. Then press the cursor key twice to access the route operations and use a small knob to select RAIM prediction. You can enter the departure time, date, altitude, and ground speed, which must be 65 knots or greater. If a satellite is NOTAM to be out of service for your flight, you can use the Remove Satellite field in the lower left to prevent it from being used in the RAIM prediction. Just specify the satellite number to remove here. Once you have entered the parameters, highlight the Compute field and press the Enter key. The process can take a minute or more to complete depending on how long the route is. While the 300XL is performing prediction, a wait message will appear in the lower right. The words RAIM OK will appear in the lower right if RAIM is predicted to be available for the entire route. If not, the words No RAIM will be shown. This does not necessarily mean that RAIM is unavailable for the entire route, though. Instead, it indicates RAIM unavailability is detected for more than 5 minutes at any point along the intended flight. The search and rescue function provides guidance for SAR operations by navigating the aircraft in a ladder pattern as shown here. This is done through the use of just two waypoints called anchor waypoints that establish a reference line from which an initial offset is specified for the first leg. Subsequent legs are then computed using a specified increment distance. Because this is a highly specialized function, we will not cover it in detail here. To learn more about the SAR option, consult the GNC 300XL Pilot Guide. In this final segment, we'll look at the parallel track offset feature that can help the pilot adjust the active route legs to avoid airspace and other areas of concern. A parallel track is simply a computed track that parallels the active route track by a specified distance and relative direction. Note that parallel track offsets can only be applied to the active route. On the route catalog page with Route 0 displayed, the parallel track fields appear on the bottom of the screen. Here you can specify an offset distance and direction from the active track to create a new parallel track. A couple of quick notes before we look at an example. Again, the parallel track option is only available for the active route. Offset navigation can only be used en route navigation, not direct-to navigation. Bearing and distance information will be for the original course with the CDI centered on the offset course. Offset navigation is not valid for IFR approach procedures. If an approach is present in the active route, parallel track navigation is canceled when within 30 nautical miles of the terminal area. Let's take a look at an example. Recall our trip from 28 Juliet Palatka Airport in the upper right southwest to Ocala Airport KOCF. The direct route will penetrate restricted area 2906 and also a large distance through the MOA. We can use the parallel track offset here to shift the course to the right by a few miles to help avoid this airspace. To do this, we have the trip in the active route, which is a requirement for the parallel track function, as you'll remember. Moving to the route catalog page and displaying Route 0, we can press the cursor key twice and highlight the parallel track offset field on the bottom. For our example, we'll specify a right-hand offset of 3 nautical miles. When done, press the Enter key. A message will be triggered advising that offset navigation is now in effect for the route. Because the new track parallels the original one, the course to be flown will be the same. CDI course guidance will be to the parallel track though. You can terminate parallel tracking by clearing the fields in the route catalog page or altering the active route, including initiation of direct-to navigation to the destination, which is the easiest way. Note that the moving map page will display the offset route as a solid line and the original route as a dashed line as shown here. This concludes the route presentation for the Garmin GNC 300XL. We covered a great deal of operating information, and hopefully examples help you to better understand the flight planning functions of the 300XL. To get the most from your GPS, it is important to practice using the functions regularly. Get initial and recurrent training from a qualified instructor. If you enjoy this channel's content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.